Hello, alchemists. The question today is, where have you abandoned yourself? And of course, we'll give some advice on how to get out of that. If you've already chosen your doorway, check the timestamps below. If not, here's a closer look. Challenges, doorway number 1. Decision making, doorway number 2. And passion, doorway number 3. Choose your doorway, alchemists, and let's begin the great work. Hello, alchemists, and welcome to your initiation through doorway number 1. Where have you abandoned yourself? And of course, we will talk about how you can unabandon yourself, I guess. So you chose challenges. You're facing challenges that are helping you grow stronger. Overcoming these obstacles will lead to significant personal rewards. Let's go ahead and read the reverse as well. Challenges feel overwhelming, and you may be struggling to find effective solutions, leading to frustration and confusion. All right. So it might be that you have had some challenges in your life, and you felt like that maybe they have defeated you, or they will defeat you, or you're not going to get through them. This could be in career. This could be with your mental health, or different things like that. Of course, I always encourage people to go get the help that they need, the professional help that they need. It could be in a relationship. So let's take a closer look. Challenges feel overwhelming. Oh, yep. So a lot of you are dealing with sadness. I have so much compassion for you. I have dealt with a lot of that in my life as well. And, the challenges can feel overwhelming, like unending, like I know that before, when I've had a lot of these challenges that have brought that level of sadness to me, it felt like the world was gray, like I would never see color again, right? It's so difficult. I have such compassion. But, and in here too, there's the feeling of isolation. So even if you're surrounded by people, you might feel like all alone and isolated. So it feels like you may have abandoned your forward movement. And remember, there's no accusation here. There's no judgment here. This is a growth space. This is a healing space. It's okay and understandable that you're going to get overwhelmed sometimes. And sometimes it's about being like, okay, what story am I telling myself? Are you telling yourself that you'll never get out of these challenges and you're always going to be struggling? Or are you telling the story that you're going to overcome these obstacles, but maybe you just need to stop and take a break and vent and let it all out now, but you're not going to give up, right? Limerence. Oh, for a lot of you, you are overcoming what you felt like was a good relationship, or honestly, it probably didn't feel good. It probably felt tragic. It probably felt painful. And I haven't done the reading for number 3 yet, but number 3 pulled up passion. So it wouldn't surprise me if that one will be related as well. So for a lot of you, this obstacle feels like you're never going to fall in love again, because nothing's going to feel as intense as that one person. But limerence means that person activated your wound, activated your sadness, activated your confusion. And that level of intensity is not maintainable. It will burn you alive. So I think a lot about when I was with my ex in a trauma bond, I wrote him this poem. And in the poem, it was just like, oh, being with you is like I turn to ash. It's like I'm on fire for you, and da-da-da-da. But by the end of the poem, it was like I was annihilated. It was like I had completely lost myself. I had been burned alive with this passion in this poem. And later, when I'm dating the calm, nice guy that I'm dating right now, I wrote a poem for him, and it was like gentle. It was about starlight and pools of calm water. And I didn't even notice the difference until I was showing the poems to a friend, and they were like, oh my gosh, look at the difference. In this poem, you're annihilated. In this poem, you are uplifted. So I just want you to remember that limerence can be identity erasure and lead to this. But remember, there's also a brain chemical aspect to this that you can't just, will your way through. So you have to give yourself a lot of grace. Shield. You need to defend yourself. If you're still exposed to this person or the situation, you need to really think about what to do about it. Yeah, you loved and cared so much. For some of you, this is definitely a relationship. It wouldn't surprise me if you're no contact. Woo, these jumped. Yesterday's lessons. Yeah, letting go, forgotten light. You lost your light in all of this, didn't you? You lost the feeling of who you were before. And that's honestly where you think that the mourning might be mostly over this person. But so much of the mourning is for the forgotten light. No darkness can erase what was born of light. That light is you. It's inside you. You feel like you abandoned it with this situation, but you did not. You cannot extinguish this light. You can cover it up. You can feel like it drowned, but it's still there. And look at all this water imagery we have here. Look, there's ocean, teardrops, water here. Yesterday's lessons. This is about letting go. Keeping yourself safe with this defending yourself energy. Understanding integration growth. The past is not punishment, it is preparation. This has taught you something for your future so that you can step into healthier situations. I mean, I love this because look, these two cards are almost identical. But this one has such a longing and this one has sort of a feeling of, the integration feeling, right? Integration is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself. So that's giving yourself time, giving yourself grace, and making sure that you are feeling your emotions in a healthy, safe way. And I always give this exercise that I like to do for myself all the time. And I've brought it up here a few times, but I'll say it again, which is basically observe your emotions. Let them move around in your body physically without adding a story. And sometimes that can really help you work through a bunch of the emotions quickly. Another thing that I do is I call it dark nighting, based on St. John of the Cross, Dark Night of the Soul. And what I do is I say, I state out loud what is happening. Like, I really want to process these emotions, but I'm going to give it to the night. And then I'll make this hand movement like this, like I'm pushing it from my conscious to my subconscious. Like I'm going to let my subconscious take care of it. And then over the next few days or weeks, anytime it comes up, I was like, nope, it's being taken care of. And I just let it go. And then what I'll find is over the next week or few weeks, there'll be solutions coming to me, or I'll just find that I'm starting to feel better because I stopped trying to control it with my conscious mind, which is only 5% of what I think, do, and say anyway. 95% is your subconscious. So that's where you need to give, that's where the true power is. 9 of Swords. Yeah, especially with this limerence energy, all this water. I mean, you've been so overwhelmed with emotions, right? And it feels like water drowning your light. But like I said, your emotions have drowned your spirit. That's not true. It feels that way. It feels that way. This is like a nightmare card, though. So like so much of it is like the narrative that you wrapped around in your mind. And be gentle with yourself as always. If you're dealing with a person, and a lot of you are with this kind of energy, it wouldn't surprise me if they were cheating or they were doing things behind your back that were kind of dishonest. They might have kept you really confused, for sure. But also, this is a call for you to embrace your own magic, especially next to this Empress card. So this being between two, the Magician being between 9 of Swords and the Empress, this is a transmutation from what story you're telling yourself. So please, 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 besides spending time observing your emotions, you can get out of this feeling of self-abandonment by spending time objectively watching the way you think, objectively reflecting on the narratives you keep telling yourself. I'm so proud of you. Being here and listening to this is not easy if you're in this stage. Look at that. You really thought this person was it, the love of your life. You really had convinced. It's really hard to face the fact that for some of you, that what you felt was limerence and not the kind of love you deserve. I believe limerence is a type of love, and you can love so deeply that way, but it's usually, it comes with a high price and the activation of your nervous system and the complete destruction of your nervous system that you have to rebuild. But this also tells me that there is a gentler, safer, kinder love once you heal from this and regain your light and autonomy and learn how to hold boundaries and shield yourself better. So I would definitely take some time, heal from this, and then get your boundaries and your standards in order before you let another person close. And I tell everybody this: if you are confused by a person, run away. And here's why. There's 3 reasons why you would be confused. They're manipulating you, push-pull dynamics, breadcrumbing, that kind of thing. They're immature and can't communicate clearly with you. Or your communication styles are so different that it's always going to be headbutting. So if you're confused and you have tried to gain clarity and you remain confused, to me, that is a sign to leave, right? Because it's going to only bring heartache either way. And Aldous Huxley, I'm pretty sure it was Aldous Huxley, said something along the lines of, for everything you ignore, there's a price to pay. And the longer you wait, the higher the price. And once again, I'll say this with my ex, like, I knew something was wrong in the first few months, but I still tried for almost 3 years. So that was 3 years, and the price that I paid at the end of that was so high. So I really encourage you to say, whew, at least it wasn't that amount of time, because it can feel like a real betrayal of self, a real abandonment of self to have spent even a little time in these situations once your viewpoint clears up, right? Once your viewpoint clears up and you see things clearly as they are. Look at all this major arcana energy. Wow. Wow, look at this. So what this is telling me is that once you're able to transmute this and stop abandoning yourself and changing your pain into power, rewriting what love means not as intensity or nervous system activation, but the level of self-love that will introduce situations and people into your life that you cannot imagine. Self-love is authenticity, bringing back that forgotten light. And the truth is, this light may have been hidden in you for decades, since you were a child. A lot of times this stuff is repressed very young, especially with this yesterday's lessons card. Okay. So usually I pull like a affirmation card, but I'm going to pull an angel card just because this is such a powerful reading. And I just want to say, wow, with all this major arcana energy, this is like one of those things that's like such a profound shift in your life. You're not even going to recognize yourself in a year, 2 years. You're going to look back and be like, wow, look what happened. Look where I was and look where I'm going. 1331, good fortune. I actually drew this not that long ago, so this is really awesome. Good fortune, 1331. Advice, comfort, major change, individuality, independence. Have faith in your skills and talents, as they are a tool that can provide you with a bright future. A piece of good advice, a moment of enlightenment, or a comforting message is on its way. Everything will work out in your favor. Pronoia, the belief that the universe is conspiring in your favor. The belief that you are going to transmute this feeling of abandonment into your own empowerment. And I believe that for you 100%, dear alchemists. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Please comment below about how this has affected your life, and we are here to support you as much as we can. A lot of big things are happening, and I hope that after this transformation happens, you'll come back and comment and tell us how it went. So thank you, and please continue the great work. Hello, alchemists, and welcome to your initiation through doorway number 2. You chose decision making. And the question is, where have you abandoned yourself? And of course, we're going to go through some advice and solutions as well. You are making important decisions in your career, and these choices will lead to long-term success. Your decisiveness is your strength. And I was reading the other side as well, since this is a place where you've abandoned yourself. You may feel indecisive or anxious about making the right career choices, leading to delays or missed opportunities. So I get the feeling with this, and we'll see with your shadow card exactly what that is. But I get the feeling that when it comes to your, I don't want to say profession, because it can be your art, just whatever your passion is, whether it's your career, whether it's your, your favorite hobby that, that you spend your life doing, that you may feel like giving up. You may feel like that you have no opportunities, or I get the feeling of being kind of like you might have a project or a new job that you want, but you're too scared to apply for it, or you're too scared to try. And you feel indecisive because you're at a stage in it where you could go in so many different directions, and it almost gives you analysis paralysis or whatever. Yeah, look at that. So many options. So yeah, the decision making isn't just that, it's difficult to make a decision. There's a fear, there's a worry that making the wrong decision is going to affect you for the rest of your life. And so it can feel like self-abandonment, because a lot of times I feel like you might make the decision that is societally considered the most appropriate one because it's safer, but it might not be what you want to do. And you might feel like, oh, I'm missing these opportunities, to where I can actually love what I do more. And being anxious about these different choices for your career or your passion, I mean, it's a normal thing. But, if you're not feeling curious, if you're not feeling vibrant, if you're not feeling right, then sometimes taking a chance is just what the doctor ordered, right? Dream weaving. Ooh, creating your dreams, bringing your dreams into reality. So yeah, for a lot of you, it might be that like maybe you're in a regular 9-to-5 job, but you've always had this dream of a certain business where you're using your passions, or maybe you become a tarot reader. Maybe you feel like you're a healer, but there's something you're really passionate about, an artist, a writer, and you feel like that it's too much of a leap of faith. It's too dangerous. So even if you were to have opportunities, you might say no. But remember, you can always slowly, a decision, we're often taught that everything's black and white and you have to make a decision this second about everything. I mean, aren't we taught that young when it's like you have to choose your college major when you're 18 years old, and then you might be stuck in that job for the next 40 years. So there's that idea that one decision could make or break your life. And that puts a lot of pressure on us. But really, you can slowly move towards the thing, right? Oh my gosh, look. Affirmation that you're in the right place. Heartache over what you no longer have. Yeah, so this is just to emphasize that if you're in here, it's for your career or your passion. Soft exhale. Release, surrender, peace. Your breath knows the way home. It feels like you used to have a passion for something. And like I said, you maybe went into a career or a job, or even did the thing that you were passionate about, and it kind of lost its luster. It's lost its magic. But now you're weaving a new dream. And beloved alchemist, when it comes to money, when it comes to career, when it comes to how you move through the world this way, there's so much anxiety about money and those kinds of things. And so it makes sense that if you have a decision to make around this, that you're going to be anxious, because you're going to be like, what if the economy does this? What if, I try to start a business and then suddenly people don't have extra money to buy what I'm trying to sell? And that's where, release, surrender, peace, spending time quieting the mind enough that you can hear the still small voice beneath it all that will tell you which direction to go. When you do that, oftentimes you'll find yourself moving so instinctively, so intuitively. You'll know exactly where to be, when to be there, how much to invest in this thing, how much to move your time into that thing. right? We always try to willpower our way through things, and that is self-abandonment. Trying to will ourselves through things, trying to overthink everything so that we can make a decision, but then it paralyzes us. It doesn't mean, just willy-nilly make decisions, but it does mean quiet your mind and let your subconscious, kind of work through. Your subconscious sees so many signals, so many ideas, so many things. Do the thing where you meditate on whatever this decision is before you go to sleep every night. Because oftentimes if you do that, you will wake up in the morning with a clear answer, because you'll have given your subconscious an opportunity to reflect, think of all the different aspects and things that you couldn't think of consciously. And you could also ask your guides for assistance in this to speed it along some. 8 of Wands. Yeah, you really put a lot of passion into what you do. 7 of Swords. But yeah, with this spear and the 7 of Swords, it feels like there's been almost like a betrayal in your career or in the thing that you love doing. And like I said earlier, like it's lost its luster because of this. And so maybe for some of you, you're trying to decide if you want to stay in this field or move to a new field. And you know what? I bet that there's a third decision, one that is unique to you. And by doing the meditation, yep, High Priestess, the answer is going to come to you. And I talked about this in Pile 1 and Doorway 1 as well, which is to do a thing, I call it giving it to the night, which is state what it is you want or need out loud. And then I make this movement like this beside my ears, like I'm pushing this request. So what decision should I make about this? And I push it back like I'm pushing it from my consciousness to my subconsciousness. And that way, I know I just handed it over to the night, as St. John of the Cross would say during his dark night of the soul. And then what I've noticed is over the next few weeks, it'll try to come back up in my consciousness and I'll try to solve it. And I'll say, nope, it's being taken care of. And then a few days, a few weeks later, you'll either wake up in the morning with the answer, just like this is another kind of way to do like earlier I was talking about, where you talk about it before your sleep. Or you'll just be walking around one day and suddenly it's almost like the idea will start coming up and out of your subconscious like a wave until you can grasp onto it. And then you'll be like, oh, this makes so much sense. But yeah, with this High Priestess energy, it definitely feels like this is something that you're going to have to work with your intuitive inner voice to get oh yeah. If you are making a decision, there's a closing out energy here. So if there's a decision that involves ending a cycle, oh yeah, it looks like that's where that might be the decision you want to make. Of course, you're responsible for any decisions you make. And like I said, my biggest advice is to do the thing where you give the problem to the night and let your subconscious work on it. A lot of times we overthink things until they're so clouded that we cannot see it. We end up in not the fun dream weaving state, but in the cloudy, murky state. 4 of Cups here, closing things out. To me, that just reinforces the disillusionment you have had in your career in this situation. So to stop abandoning yourself, you need to give yourself grace, as I always say, but also take some time to rest, to step away from this decision that feels so terrifying, so earth-shattering, and give your brain a true break from it and see what kind of answers come back. And when you get there, you will start feeling so empowered again once you're able to hear that still small voice in your soul again and not have all these thoughts about what will happen and this and that and the other covering it up. And it is a kind of a surrender. It's a surrendering to, it's a surrender of control. These overthinking, that is a control mechanism because you're trying to think of 8 trillion possibilities when really what's going to happen is not going to be any of those, right? And sometimes I also like to think about the thing, like if we try to control things too much, sometimes we stop the better thing from coming because we're so hyperfixated on the one aspect of the thing that we want or that we think we want. And of course, I don't even have to say this, but everyone knows this, but like how many times in your life have you wanted something and it turned out that was not what you wanted? It was not what you thought it was. And that goes back to the idea of handing it to the night. So St. John of the Cross, he uses God, obviously, because he was a Catholic monk. But he said, basically, humans will sabotage what God has in store for us. And that's what the dark night of the soul is. It's God blinding us to the transmutation, the work that he's doing in our lives so that we may, so that we can actually get where we're going. So we feel lost and blind because of that. Now, of course, this is metaphoric language for the relationship between the conscious and subconscious too. It doesn't actually really matter what belief paradigm you hold. This is an archetypal, I myself am a mystic, so I take stuff from all the different, well, you hear me talking about everything from Vedic stuff to Buddhism to Christian mystics to Sufism. So 555, change, encouragement, support, obstacle, battle, calling, your calling. Yep, that's what you're working on. Restructuring, creative work. You are going to level up. It might not feel good initially, but it will prepare you to handle the greater things in life for your highest good. That is the why you've been looking for. Push through it. There's a reward waiting at the finish line. Being bored with what it is. Feeling heartbroken about a loss. Feeling betrayed by where you were. This is saying the end of a cycle. This change is scary. This decision that you're kind of in right now is scary, but it's encouraging you to make the changes you need in order to, and it's going to be difficult. It's going to feel like a battle at first, but once you get there, it is for your highest good. Whew, you're doing a great job, Alchemists. If you are here, thank you so much. Please comment below how this is showing up in your life. And remember that just being here is such a huge thing. Most people do not want to do this level of work because it's not easy. You have to face yourself. You have to look inside at the parts of yourself that you maybe wish weren't exposed, but exposing them and healing them is the best work you can do. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time as we continue the great work. Hello, Alchemists, and welcome to your initiation through doorway number 3. Where have you abandoned yourself? And of course, we will get into some advice on how to unabandon yourself, okay? You chose passion. Passion is igniting your relationship. Attraction and excitement fuel the connection, bringing vitality and energy. And of course, since this is an abandonment pile, we're going to read the reverse as well. Passion is fading, possibly due to daily stress or emotional exhaustion causing a loss of intensity. If you are resonating with this pile, please consider checking out pile number 1. They feel very, very close in theme. So with this, and of course I pulled the shadow work card, the one I always call the shadow card. There's a deep, with passion, I feel like for some of you, you've been in a push-pull, breadcrumbing, avoidant dynamic. Because with this push-pull energy is definitely here. So there's like an intensity, and maybe that intensity has been there and you have really felt like that this is the one, this is true love. But now, after this push-pull and this breadcrumbing for so long, you're feeling the passion is fading, but you have made this situation or this person such the center of everything. You feel lost, and you almost feel like lost without that, and you're not sure what to do. But you also feel like that the loss of intensity is a betrayal, and you worry that you're never going to feel that level of intensity again. But remember, intensity is nervous system activation, and I say this as a person who had to recover from a trauma bond. And recovering from a trauma bond, it messes everything up because it messes up your brain chemicals. And when you get into a new relationship, it's never going to be as intense as that, because what was really happening was nervous system activation, your deepest shadow wound, trying to relive itself in another relationship or another person so that the story can end differently. Let me say that again, because it's hard to grasp and it's painful to face. Oftentimes, if you end up in a relationship with somebody who you chase or breadcrumbs you, or you have such an intensity with that it feels like torture almost to be away from them, that oftentimes it was both of your nervous systems meeting and activating each other, because your subconscious does not, your mind does not like open loops. So therefore, if there is a childhood wound or a life wound, a core wound that has not been healed, when you meet a person like this, they activate that core wound, and your mind wants to basically relive the pain you had in the past in order to get a different ending, to close the loop, to get the right closure. But the problem with this is when you find a person like that, they almost always do the same thing to you that the first person did, or that whatever caused your initial wound. And so that's where gaining passion for yourself, having a relationship with yourself, doing this inner healing and this shadow work before you attach your nervous system to someone else's is one of the most important things that you can do. Ego. With that, I really get the idea of you abandoning yourself, like the feeling of annihilation, in order to contort for this relationship. Definitely check out Pile 1. It's very, very similar, very good, very much overlapping. Also, the person you're dealing with might have an ego the size of the sun. Oftentimes, if you are dealing with a breadcrumber or a future faker or something like that, you are dealing with someone who has a huge ego. In the first pile, it felt a little different. This one feels more like, it wouldn't surprise me if you were called to this pile and you're resonating with this, that you were with someone who had narcissistic tendencies and kept you confused a lot, for sure. Romance, celebration, party, crib. For some of you, you are tied to this person very closely. You may have been mistaking. So basically, you may have kids with this person, first of all, or you may have birthed different things in your life, like moving in together, things that keep you tied more closely to them. So it feels like it's harder to extract yourself. So you just keep trying to reignite the passion. But you have to almost annihilate important parts of yourself in order to give their ego space. And it wouldn't surprise me, too, if you kept doing something like, oh, if I just do this, it will reignite the passion. If I just do that. But every time you do that, you have abandoned yourself a little bit more and a little bit more. The question is, do you remember who you are? How much have you had to give? What have you changed about yourself that you called compromise, but was really core identity erasure? And this is so hard to hear. So I have such compassion for you. And I've been through this kind of thing. So there is never blame here. This is only for healing and mutual. Running on it. Yep. Burnout, depletion, surrender. Yeah. This was unsustainable. It is unsustainable if you're still in it. A relationship cannot rotate around one person's ego and survive. Beloved alchemist, this is probably really hard to hear. So we're here for you. Please comment below, get the support you need externally, but we're also here to, support you as much as we can, our little community here. You're feeling depleted and you just need to vent, put it down in the comments. We will be here to support you. Oh, I feel such an energy of feeling trapped in this situation. But remember, beloved, you are never truly trapped if your mind is free. Yeah. An ending. And death is a transmutation. It's a rebirth. cutting through to a new beginning with this Page of Swords energy. Yeah, butting heads all the time. You always giving in to keep the peace. That's a drain. You know, it's beyond a drain. I can't even get 7 of Wands. Yeah, there is a lot of antagonistic energy. 2 of Cups. Antagonistic energy here. And what I feel is, once again, when it's good, it's good. But is it? Or does it just feel really good compared to this? So when things calm down a little bit, you're like, oh, this is great. Objectively, is it great? Or is it just subjectively great because you're not tied into this for a few minutes? So I would recommend taking some time to be still and quiet. Observe closely what is truly happening. Talk to other people. Get advice about what the situation looks like from the outside to other people. Tell yourself the true story of what is happening here. If this is resonating with you, you really need to tell yourself the true story. Aldous Huxley says something along the lines of, everything that you do, every decision you make, it has a price. And the longer you wait, the higher the price you will pay. And I was saying this in an earlier doorway. I paid that price. I was in a trauma bond, and I knew something was wrong the first few months, but I ignored it and said, oh, I'll just work through it. I can do this. 3 years and levels of betrayal, trauma, and emotional trauma, and just different kinds of horrible trauma that were piled on. Obviously, it's that person's fault for doing what they did, but you know, I knew and I didn't go. I'm still gentle with myself because, you know, when someone hijacks your nervous system, a lot of times you're just along for the ride until you figure it out. And a lot of times we kind of get stuck in that until we just can't take it anymore. Until it hurts more to change than it does to stay the same. Because that change is hard. This also tells me that there is true love in your future. The true love of yourself. By yourself, to yourself. The love of friends. The love of people who don't confuse you. Who don't make you feel smaller. Who don't make you feel erased. Okay? And of course, as we know, that can lead to real life romance as well, if that's something you even want at that point. A lot of times once you do all this healing, that becomes optional, which also sounds like oh Lord, the word just slipped out of my mind. Contradiction. There you go. It sounds like a contradiction to say, oh, I don't need anybody, and then the right person will come to you. But it's true. Once you stop needing it, you are so empowered that you attract the kind of person. This kind of person needs you to need them. They need the fight so that they can keep control. They need the conflict. They need to keep you confused. If you're here, please get the external help you need, because sometimes these situations, if you're here and this is resonating with you, if you're in this kind of dynamic, I definitely encourage you to get the help you need. Okay? Because this can get scary. This can escalate. So be very careful. Watch out for confrontations and get the help you need. Let's take a look at your angel number and we'll close out. I'm so proud of the work you're doing. Just being here is huge. This is work that most people just do not want to do because it's not easy to hear these things. But if you truly want to heal, if you're here, you're one of those souls that knows that healing should happen, even if it's painful, because you know that on the other side of healing is more expansion, more growth, and more love. 777. Good luck. Contentment, prosperity, abundance, spiritual awakening, divine intervention. Look how different this energy is. This message is most likely to reach you during intense uncertainty. You'll come out winning from everything that may come your way. It's also a sign that you have much life experience and wisdom to share, yet you'll need enthusiasm and effort to get this message to others. It wouldn't surprise me if you end up transmuting this energy once you into helping others identify and escape these kinds of situations. And so luck is in your favor on this with a 777. I would be looking out for that number around. But remember, spiritual awakening isn't all fun and games. It's not meditating and everything is peaceful and opens up like a lotus or whatever. It is rough. So I always look at it like this. So when you're born, it's like you're on a path, a nice, wonderful, clean path on the middle of a volcanic rock field or something. And depending on your parents and your life situation, depends on how far from that path you were put. So for example, the family I was born in, I feel like I was put like 5 miles away from the path. And that ever since then, I've been crawling over boulders and getting cut on lava rock and jumping lava, streams, hoping not to fall in. But the only choice I have is to move towards the smoother road or to just keep getting cut up by this very volatile energy, right? And so to me, it's like, well, if I'm going to get, kind of emotionally and injured and all this anyway, I'm going to move towards that smoothness, towards that peace. And so that's what spiritual awakening is like. You have, and this is giving you life experiences that is going to help other people once you're able to distance yourself and get the healing you need. So the message to reach you during intense uncertainty. Intense is one of the words. Intense. Are you mistaking intensity for love? Okay, beloved alchemists, you've got this. We're here for you. Comment below and let us know how it goes. Take good care of yourself and continue the great work. I'll see you next time.